Annie, kind of like shifting gears, can you tell me a little bit about, it's such a broad question, but your journey? I know that it began back in 2018 or
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
Could you tell me about just family and how you've gotten to this point through your journey?
Yep. I found a lump myself, had a mammogram, ultrasound, biopsy. That biopsy actually came back negative, but knew something wasn't right. I could feel the tumor growing. So went back for a few more appointments. And then finally in September of 2018, they re-biopsied it. And that time it came back that it was triple negative. It was at that time that I decided to go to Cleveland Clinic, it's about 2 hours from my house, but Cleveland Clinic is well known worldwide. So I feel very fortunate that I had that facility so close to me. So went there, established an amazing team around me, and they came up with my plan, which was, pretty much the standard of care. I had chemotherapy, followed by a double mastectomy, followed by 26 rounds of radiation. And then after that, it was just follow up appointments. And I had heard about the vaccine and had asked about it, and it just wasn't quite ready for the human phase yet. But it fell into place perfectly. I went in for an appointment, and my nurse practitioner said that it was ready, and there was some criteria that had to be met in order to qualify for the trial. One being I couldn't be more than 3 years out from my first chemo treatment, and I had to at that time be cancer free. So did a lot of testing, and that all came back great. So I was able to apply and be accepted into the trial, and then found out that I was going to be the first person to receive it. So it was it was something that I didn't think twice about. A lot of people ask me, were you scared? Were you nervous? And for me, thinking about my cancer coming back every single day, um, it was something that I just wanted so badly, something to kind of put my mind at ease. And then on the grander scale, if this worked, what it would do, for the world, that,
Yeah.
15% of breast cancer, it's a lot of women. And if we can just not have that anymore, I, I was excited to take it. And like Dr. Kumar said, Dr. Tui had been studying this for 20 years, and they hadn't seen any significant side effects, no anaphylactic reaction or anything upon administration of the vaccine. And then they saw no recurrence. So that, I feel like, is something, I don't do research, but 100% success rate, I'm positive, does not happen. I mean, of course, the lab is different. We're human beings. There's different factors that go into that, but then to have this data released in April that all of us had shown immune response, I feel like it's very promising, and I'm
Yeah.
excited for, whatever's about to come.
I feel
Hey,
like it
Kelsey,
just,
can I
yeah.
just add one thing?
Yeah.
Jenny said that she doesn't do research, but I have to say that well, first of all, as she noted, she was the very first human being that took this vaccine after 20 years of testing on animals, and there are going to be a lot of scientists. There are a lot of scientists and physicians who have worked on this vaccine already, and before it's available to the general public, there'll be many, many other scientists and physicians and nurses and others who work on this vaccine, people like myself. But ultimately, the most important constituents of getting this vaccine approved and available are people like Jenny, who are letting us test it on them, and it's unique. She's the very first one, and I applaud her for for being a spokesperson for this vaccine. Many people want to keep their medical information private. Jenny has come out and told the world, and she's a big spokesperson for this vaccine.
Yeah. And like you said, it just happened. Like you just asked about it, and it just worked out. Like that's so, like inspiring. Like how were you like an advocate for yourself? I guess like going back and like double like getting checked again because you felt like something wasn't right, and then even after like taking that risk. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I think that's really important. As women, we know our bodies the best. So there's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion. There's nothing wrong with advocating for yourself, that if you feel something isn't right, to ask those questions. And I do think it's important to ask about trials, to be a part of things. There was a trial early on that I did not get accepted into. And at that time, I was devastated by it, because I thought, you know, um, I just wanted it. I wanted anything to make sure that I was going to be okay, that I was going to live to see my kids get married. And, so I was really wanting to do anything. So, and we have to have trials. We have to have research and these human trials to advance, the whole medical world. And my family, they were very excited when it came up that I was going to be able to get it. And it allows me to think, okay, I have a headache today. It's just a headache. Take a Tylenol. You're fine. I slept wrong. It's not bone cancer, Jenny. It's, you slept wrong. So the fact that I don't do that anymore is, yeah.
Peace of mind, like just a huge difference. Yeah.
And I'm so grateful, because like it did take such a long time. And then finally Anixa and Cleveland came together, and it worked out perfectly. And I continue to tell this story just because it's so important to keep talking about it. There are other, phases of the trial that are coming up, and funding for that is huge. And I just want this to stay as relevant as possible, because the end result, I really believe, through at least the data that's already been published, that this is on the road to really saving a lot of women's lives. I'm proud to be a part of it.
Wonderful. And what was the vaccine like? What was it like just to be there and like get the like treatment? And then were there any like side effects? Like, how's your health doing today?
The vaccine, it was 3 doses given 2 weeks apart. I had lab work prior to each, and then I had 2 follow-up appointments after that where they did some lab work. And then that's the data that was released this past April that had shown the immune response. The only side effect I had was lumps at the injection sites. And other than that, there's been nothing, no other side effects. So I just continue now. My appointments for my regular checkups has nothing really to do with the vaccine. I'm not monitored for that anymore. And I'm coming up on my 5 years here in 2 months. So that's exciting too. And then after that, I go every 3 months. So after that, it'll probably go to every 6, I would imagine. But I don't mind going to every 3 months, just because, I still like to be seen every 3 months. But like I said, the vaccine has really put all of that in the back of my mind now, and it's not the forefront. Like every morning when I wake up and every night before I go to bed, that's not what I'm thinking about. So
my life is think about other stuff.
yeah, I'm back to work, and
yeah,
I definitely take the trips. I go on a lot of trips with my family and get together with my friends, and your mindset shifts on what's important. And that has definitely occurred for me. And, time, Jesse Itzler is someone that I follow, that he's just very inspirational. And he talks about time and how the only thing in life that will beat us is time. And I think that's a good way to look at it. So I just try and make the most out of my time. And it's really because of the opportunity I've been given.
Yeah. That's a good one. I like that.
And one of the things that Jenny said about her treatment was that, she went through pre-adjuvant treatment, meaning pre-surgery, treating the cancer. She went through surgery and reconstruction, and then post-surgery, she went through many, many rounds of radiation. That process is not fun. It's a very brutal process. Throughout the whole period you're tremendous anxiety, side effects, all sorts of things. And so even though our world, our medical um, infrastructure has developed better ways of catching breast cancer early, we teach women how to do self-exams and then regular screenings. And we often catch the breast cancer early enough to treat it, which includes what Jenny went through. But that process is very expensive for this healthcare system. It's very brutal and difficult for not only the patient, but also everyone in that patient's orbit. And then post treatment, even if a woman is cancer free, every day she wakes up thinking, is my cancer going to come back? And as Jenny said, you wake up and you have a pain somewhere in your body, you think, oh, the cancer has come back, or is it because I pulled a muscle or something? And there's a tremendous amount of anxiety related to that. So if we can show this vaccine in the larger patient studies that we're planning works, then we would just like to be able to give women a couple of shots, and that's it. You never have to worry about it. That would be pretty amazing.
Yeah,
This type of cancer.
absolutely. And my last question for you was just what would be your message to anyone, specifically any woman who was in your place? What would be something that she should keep in mind?
I guess just going back to be an advocate for yourself. You know your body the best. Look into trials. Look into things that are on the horizon that you might be able to get into, not only to help yourself but to help others. And hope. Like I'm a big believer, and I think that it got me through a lot. I always say that, it's okay. And, cancer is not easy. It's terrible. And you're allowed to go to those places in your mind that are not the greatest and that are scary and fearful. But I always just tried to tell myself, you can go to those places, but just make sure you don't stay there. It's okay after, if you're there for a day and you cry for a day, that's completely normal. But just don't allow yourself to stay in that place, and find yourself in a support system, find yourself a team that you trust, a team of doctors that, I trusted them with my life, obviously. And another thing is the internet. While it's wonderful, it's what we all do. We all look up everything. But really, it can really put you in a terrible place, especially with anything life-threatening or cancer, because the first thing that pops up are all the statistics, and a lot of those statistics are not correct. But even the ones that are correct, with triple negative, you see, it's lethal, it's deadly, recurrence is high. And when I got on, I only got on for a brief moment and did not get on again, and told my family to stay off. I don't know if they did. I still don't know to this day if they did. But even just reading that one time, that's going to stick in your mind. Mm-hmm. So find a team that you can trust and just put it in their hands. And I was lucky enough to have all of that.
Yeah. Was there anything else that either of you wanted to add before I let you go?
I'll just say, first of all, I applaud Jenny for what she's done and for what she said as a message of being an advocate for yourself. For our vaccine, as we go forward, we anticipate that we will be recruiting many, many more women to evaluate the efficacy of the vaccine. Right now, it's only at the Cleveland Clinic, and I get calls all the time from women who want to participate in the trial, but they're just not in Cleveland, unfortunately. But for phase 2 and certainly for phase 3, we'll be expanding the number of sites. So I encourage people who are concerned about this to stay tuned and keep track of what we're doing, so that not only can you just keep track, but if you happen to be someone who wants to participate in the trial, you can get involved.
Yeah, it's like history in the making. It's so fascinating. Thank you both so much. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Jenny?
I think that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me.